What would you do if a single phone call could unravel everything you thought you controlled? In the quiet suburb of Willow Creek, where picket fences and manicured lawns whispered of order, Karen Hensley's voice cut through the morning calm like a siren. She stood on her porch, her figure imposing, her face twisted into a scowl that could curdle milk. Her eyes, small and sharp, locked onto my daughter's golden retriever, Daisy, who was sniffing the edge of Karen's pristine garden. To Karen, that dog was a menace, a walking violation of her perfect world. To me, it was just a puppy bringing joy to my 8-year-old Lily. But Karen didn't see joy, she saw chaos, and she was determined to stamp it out. Karen had lived on Maple Street for a decade, her reputation as the neighborhood's self-appointed enforcer cemented long before we moved in. She was a woman of excess weight, excess opinions, excess venom. Her face, round and flushed, seemed perpetually set in a grimace, as if the world itself offended her. She'd bang on doors over unmowed lawns, scream at kids for chalk drawings on sidewalks, and once called animal control because a neighbor's cat dared to nap on her porch. Everyone tiptoed around her, but I wasn't everyone. I was Captain Elena Marquez, commander of the city's uniform division, though Karen didn't know that yet. To her, I was just the new single mom at 214 Maple, with a daughter and a dog she deemed trouble. That morning, Lily had begged to walk Daisy before school. Her wide eyes sparkled with the kind of innocence that makes you say yes, even when you're late for a briefing. I handed her the leash, kissed her forehead, and watched her skip down the street, Daisy's tail wagging like a metronome. I was in my kitchen, sipping coffee, when my phone buzzed. It was Karen. "Your mutt's in my yard again," she snapped, her voice dripping with disdain. "Control it, or I will." I sighed, apologized, and promised to talk to Lily. But Karen wasn't satisfied. She never was. By noon, the situation escalated. I was at the precinct when my radio crackled with a familiar address, 214 Maple Street. A 911 call. The dispatcher's voice was calm but edged with amusement. "Caller reports a dangerous animal on her property, demanding immediate action." I knew instantly it was Karen. My heart sank, not because I feared for Daisy, but because I knew Lily would be devastated if anything happened to her best friend. I radioed my team to stand down. "I'd handle this myself." When I pulled up in my unmarked cruiser, Karen was on her lawn, arms crossed, her face a mask of righteous fury. Daisy was tied to a tree in my yard, whining softly, while Lily stood beside her, tears streaming down her cheeks. A small crowd of neighbors had gathered, whispering. Karen pointed a meaty finger at me. "That dog attacked my garden. It's a menace, and I'm pressing charges." Her voice boomed, theatrical, as if she were auditioning for a role as the neighborhood tyrant. I knelt beside Lily, wiping her tears. "Did Daisy do anything wrong, sweetheart?" Lily shook her head, her voice trembling. "She just sniffed the flowers, Mom. I didn't let her dig, I swear." I nodded, my jaw tight. Daisy was a gentle soul, trained to the hilt, more likely to lick you to death than cause trouble. I stood, facing Karen. "Ma'am, let's calm down. Daisy's on a leash, and Lily says she didn't damage anything. Can we talk this out?" Karen's eyes narrowed, her lips curling into a sneer. "Talk? I don't talk to people who let their animals run wild. I called the police, and they'll deal with you." She spat the word "you" like it was poison. I raised an eyebrow, my badge heavy in my pocket. "You sure about that?" I asked, my voice steady but laced with warning. Karen scoffed, oblivious. "You think you're tough? I know people. You'll regret crossing me." Before I could respond, a new figure emerged from the crowd, a lanky teenager with a skateboard tucked under his arm. It was Ethan, the quiet kid from down the street who mowed lawns for extra cash. He shuffled forward, his eyes darting nervously. Mrs. Hensley," he said, his voice cracking. "I saw what happened. Daisy didn't touch your garden. You kicked dirt on your own flowers and blamed the dog." The crowd gasped. murmurs rippling through the neighbors. Karen's face flushed crimson, her mouth opening and closing like a fish out of water. "You little liar," she shrieked, lunging toward Ethan. I stepped between them, my hand raised. "Enough," I said, my voice cutting through her rage like a blade. Ethan's confession was the twist I hadn't seen coming. He was shy, barely spoke to anyone, yet here he was, risking Karen's wrath to tell the truth. I glanced at him, grateful, and he gave me a small nod before slipping back into the crowd. Karen, however, was undeterred. She pulled out her phone, dialing 911 again, her voice rising to a fever pitch. "I want an officer here now. This woman's threatening me." I almost laughed. Threatening her? I hadn't raised my voice. But Karen was spiraling, her need for control blinding her to reason. Minutes later, a patrol car rolled up. 2 officers stepped out, Reyes and Thompson, my subordinates. Their eyes widened when they saw me, but I gave them a subtle shake of my head. "Let this play out." Karen rushed toward them, pointing at me. "Arrest her. Her dog's a danger, and she's harassing me." Reyes glanced at me, barely hiding a smirk. "Ma'am," he said to Karen, "can you describe the incident?" Karen launched into a tirade, embellishing every detail. Daisy was a vicious beast. I was a negligent mother. Lily was a brat. I stood silently, letting her dig her own grave. When she finished, Reyes turned to me. "Captain Marquez, your statement?" The word captain hit Karen like a slap. Her eyes widened, her mouth frozen mid-sentence. The crowd murmured again, louder this time. I kept my voice calm. "My daughter's dog was on a leash. A witness confirms no damage was done. Mrs. Hensley made a false report and attempted to intimidate a minor." I nodded toward Ethan, who was watching from a safe distance. Karen's face crumpled, her bravado collapsing. "Captain," she stammered, "you're with the police?" I nodded, pulling my badge from my pocket. "Commander of the Uniform Division, actually. And you just wasted my officer's time with a false 911 call. That's a misdemeanor, Karen." Her knees buckled, and she grabbed the porch railing for support. The neighbors' whispers turned to chuckles. For years, Karen had bullied them, but now the tables had turned. Reyes stepped forward, his tone professional but firm. "Ma'am, we'll need you to come with us to answer some questions." Karen's eyes darted around, searching for an escape, but there was none. She'd built her throne on fear, but it was crumbling under the weight of her own lies. As the officers led her to the patrol car, she shot me a venomous glare, but it lacked the fire she'd had before. Lily ran to me, burying her face in my side. "Is Daisy okay?" she whispered. I hugged her tightly. "She's fine, baby. And so are you." That evening, as the sun set over Willow Creek, the neighborhood felt different. Lighter. Ethan stopped by with his skateboard, shyly handing Lily a daisy he'd picked from his own yard. "For Daisy," he said, blushing. Lily beamed, and I realized Karen's reign of terror had done something unexpected. It had brought the rest of us closer. Neighbors who'd once avoided each other were talking, laughing, even planning a block party. Karen's call to 911, meant to assert her dominance, had backfired spectacularly. She'd exposed her own pettiness, and the community had rallied against it. Karen faced a fine and community service for the false report, but the real punishment was her isolation. People stopped fearing her. Kids drew chalk art on her sidewalk. Cats napped on her porch. And Daisy? She pranced through the neighborhood, her leash held proudly by Lily, who no longer looked over her shoulder for Karen's glare. Karma had come for Karen, not with a bang, but with the quiet strength of truth and community. And I, Captain Elena Marquez, stood a little taller, knowing justice didn't always need a badge sometimes. It just needed a puppy and a brave kid with a skateboard. Yindy.